Hi, Gillian. How are you?
Hi there, I'm doing very well and I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Thanks so much for jumping on and, basically being my personal tutor on on starting an online course, which I know really is one of your strengths. I mean, you're kind of one of the really, the experts on YouTube on Teachable and on starting courses. So, thanks again for jumping on.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. That's very flattering for you to say that. I've been creating courses for a few years now. It certainly has been an interesting and educational journey because when I started creating courses, I would just say that it seemed obvious how to do it, and I tried and failed several times before it really started working. So there was quite a learning curve there.
That's actually reassuring to hear. I mean, I don't mean to revel in your past failures, but it actually makes me feel a lot better.
I think everyone has them. So
So first, can we just talk a little bit about you so that we get a sense of who you are, your experience, so we kind of know where you're coming from? Um, so you are a mother of three, I believe. I don't mean to get too personal, but
yes, I have three kids. They're 5, 3, and 1 years old, so they're
oh,
all
you have a
pretty
one.
small.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and my background is I have a very varied background, but it's primarily in entrepreneurship. I've been starting and growing businesses for the past 12 years. It's a great passion of mine, and I started businesses in several different industries. And it's that also has been an educational experience, as you'd expect. Then about 5 years ago now, almost 6 years ago, I started a marketing agency because I had learned a lot as I'd been working on building these various businesses about marketing. And I'd started having a lot of people reach out to me about helping them with their marketing. So I started a small marketing agency, and it has grown and evolved into the business that I run today, where I teach online entrepreneurs how to market their businesses.
Which came first, the marketing agency or I guess the pop for your YouTube channel, if you understand what I mean?
Well, the marketing agency certainly came first, although I started a YouTube channel prior to the marketing agency as a hobby. And it was a very interesting experience because I knew nothing about making videos at all. Like I said, it was just a hobby. And I would say, if anything, I was worse than average at making videos. My first videos were awful, but it wasn't just my first, 2, 3 videos. It was my first several dozen videos were quite terrible in all regards. And I ended up shutting that channel down after it started taking off, actually, because once I started getting the views, that really showed me the shortcomings of the videos. Before I had the views, I was just wondering, why doesn't anyone watch my channel? Why isn't anyone watching these videos? And then people started watching, and my question changed to become, why is anyone watching these videos? They're terrible. So I ended up shutting the channel down. And then about a year later was when I started my marketing agency. And at first, we were primarily focused on paid advertising. So we were running Facebook ads and Google ads for clients. And I was using those strategies to earn clients for my own business. And they worked fine, but they're pretty expensive. And so I started looking around at alternative ways to market my marketing agency. And we started using content marketing. And just so we'd write articles on our company website. Basically, we were running a blog,
Hmm.
and that worked all right as well, although it was a lot of work, and it seemed like we had to create a lot of content in order to attract a few clients. And then I remembered that I had started that YouTube channel in the past, and even though my videos had been terrible and I hadn't put that much work into it, people had watched them, and I'd gotten a lot of exposure. And so I decided to try using the YouTube channel for the marketing agency. And I started that YouTube channel, which is the YouTube channel I run today. And within about 6 months, the YouTube channel had completely taken off. And it was amazing because not only were we getting a massive amount of exposure in terms of views, but the viewers were so interactive and engaged, far more than the blog readers were. And so many more of them, a much higher percentage of them, were converting into paying clients. Whereas the blog readers, they would come, they would maybe take advantage of some of the free resources, but it's very difficult to get them to convert into paying customers.
do you embed currently your videos? I know that this is not even close to the topic of the online courses I want to talk about, but it's so interesting. Do you convert your YouTube, or excuse me, embed your YouTube videos on your blog currently? And does that have a similar engagement effect, or does it have to be on YouTube?
I do not, and there's a specific reason why. I want to force people to go to YouTube because they're much more likely to subscribe to my channel and to watch more of my videos if they're on YouTube. And then I try to get as many people onto YouTube as possible because my channel is such a key asset of the business. And then from the channel, I get some of them to come back to the website to opt into my email list and other following me in other ways.
And we'll talk about some of the off YouTube offerings you have a little bit later on, because you do have an event, I think I would call it, coming up in December, which I think we should definitely talk about. But let me get us back to the meat and potatoes of why I asked you to join us. Online courses. So basically, my story is that I decided to dip my toe into the online course universe. This is totally my first try, so I guess I shouldn't be too ashamed of this abysmal failure. But it didn't work out. I did build a teachable course based very much on your YouTube videos, which are fantastic. I highly recommend anyone who's interested in going the teachable route to check out Gillian's channel and watch those 2 very highly ranked videos. But it didn't work out for me. So I did want to ask you for your expertise on a couple of different areas. So number one, you've also spoken about where online courses fall in your hierarchy of online income. If I recall correctly, and please tell me if this is still the case, you have kind of self-publishing books towards the bottom, online courses more in the middle, and membership sites more on the higher value, on the higher end of the value chain, if that makes sense. Is that still the case?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So the largest segment of the business income does come from the membership program. And then after that would be course income. And then below that would just be everything else. We earn some affiliate income and some ad revenue and some, income from online book sales and a variety of other things. But yes.
So with that in mind, do you teach your, I don't know if I should call them students or I'll just say students. Do you teach your students to go right for the membership site, for the highest value, or is there a benefit to starting off with other monetization or maybe the online courses?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's interesting. I don't tend to push the students one way or the other, really. I just kind of present the opportunities of both. And most people seem to naturally attach onto one idea as the best fit for what they want to teach or who they're teaching, or for their current situation, because a membership site and courses, they demand very different things from the creators of them. With a membership site, there's a fairly significant amount of initial setup typically. And then you have to continue to create content every single month. However, the revenue was a lot more stable. And for me, I found it to be a bit more profitable. But courses can still be incredibly profitable. And they are, I would say, simpler to especially initially set up. You still have to do a lot of work to create content, of course, but it's a bit more straightforward. And once they are set up, then you typically don't have to touch them at all afterwards, unless the subject matter of the course needs to be updated.
Right. Makes sense. So in terms of choosing the right subject matter for an online course, what I think I discovered is that I basically chose the wrong topic, or at least one that was not that didn't have a good customer pool. So basically, I was starting a paralegal school. I'm a probate attorney, my bread and butter business, and sort of one of the compliments I get paid the most from colleagues or opposing counsel is that my paralegals are awesome. Like, where did I get them? And if they ever want to leave me, could they hire them? So that was like one of the, part of me is like, hey, what about me? What am I, chopped liver? But apparently my paralegals are very good. So it kind of struck me that, I should train folks who are interested in this career. And it's very lucrative. You can go from, one of my assistants, paralegals, went from basically retail to almost 100K a year, which was just a huge trajectory changing, thing in her life. So good for her. So I thought this was an interesting path to pursue, but I couldn't get even one student. So I'm not sure where exactly. I got a lot of people who are interested, but nobody willing to pay tuition. if that makes
Yeah.
any sense.
Sure. Okay.
So do you see anything
so
just based on subject matter that was flawed right
yeah.
there? You know, yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So first, can you tell me what the name of your course was and if it also had like a subtitle or anything like that? A tagline?
Very good. I'm trying to remember. I think it was very straightforward. I did SEO research it for findability, but I don't know if it was well crafted otherwise. I think it was just probate paralegal. Yeah, something very basic, like probate paralegal school, something along those lines.
Okay. Okay. So, okay. I mean, straightforward is good. I wouldn't necessarily recommend basing your name of your course off of keyword research because most of the time when you're selling a course and it's a higher priced digital product, you're not going to be selling it to a cold audience who just happens to find you on Google, but to people who are following you or who maybe have been told about you by someone else. You've gotten like a word of mouth referral. And so you want to make sure that you're naming it something that is very clear to the point, like they know what the outcome is, but also specifically appeals to that target customer. And so market research, interviewing your prospective customers or interviewing anyone who you can identify as this is who I would like to sell to, and talking to them about what they really want, the outcomes they're looking for, and then using their words in the title or in the other sales copy will be more effective than just doing keyword research.
So I spent a little bit of money doing Facebook ads to direct messages, and I got a lot of feedback through that. But the feedback was, yes, I would love this opportunity, but I have no money. I mean, that was basically what I got a lot of.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really sure what to do with that.
Yes. Okay. So the next thing that I would encourage you to work on would be to, and I don't know exactly what your marketing background is. So, I mean, tell me if this is too basic, if you already know everything about this, but typically in order for someone to choose to buy a product, they need to have 3 different kinds of trust. So they have to have trust in you as the expert or the teacher, trust like that you know what the answer is, you know what they need to know, you know how to teach them, etc. Okay. They also need to have trust in the product or the system. So they need to trust that your course is good quality, your course has the answers in it, etc. And then finally, they have to have trust in themselves. So they have to trust that they are smart enough to execute the program, that they will stick with it, that they will complete the whole program, and that it will work for them. Now, if you're targeting, like if you're hoping to get traffic on Google, or even if you're running Facebook ads or anything like that, it is very difficult to develop any of those kinds of trust, but especially the trust of you as the expert, because they don't have a relationship with you yet. And so that's why it's much, much easier to sell to a warm audience, to people who are already following you or to people who have been referred to you.
What if I retargeted I do have this podcast and a YouTube channel accompanying it. So what if I retargeted my audience of viewers, and hopefully in that pool, there would be 50 people who would happen to be interested in paralegaling because they're following a probate attorney.
Yeah.
Would that be at least one step closer to building that trust?
So if I were you, I would probably start by, now ideally, in the future, you are able to target a cold audience because your warm audience is limited, right? There's only a certain number of people there, and growing your warm audience can be somewhat slow. And so we want to make sure that we do design the program so that ultimately you can target a cold audience. And I'll talk more about how you can work on doing that in the future. But I would start with your warm audience because you already have those people. They're going to be the easiest people to sell to, and certainly the easiest people to get information from. So I would start by announcing that you are going to be launching or relaunching this program in the near future, like telling your audience that this is coming up and asking them if they're interested, like tell them the basics. This is like the outcome you would get from it. Don't talk about the program, really. Just say like, I'm going to create a program that will teach you how to become a probate, what's the word? I'm blanking on the word.
Paralegal.
What?
Paralegal.
Paralegal. That's the word I'm looking for. I was like, attorney assistant. That's not right. A probate paralegal. So you tell them like, this is the outcome. Here's the opportunity, that maybe tell them a little bit about what that would mean. being a probate paralegal, why they might want it, and then just give them the opportunity to sign up for your waiting list. Now, your waiting list, the whole point of it isn't actually to have like the list of these people, but so that you can talk to these people and find out some information from them. So you get them on the waiting list, and then a little bit later, a few days later, you reach out to them and you say, I'm putting finishing touches on this. I want to make sure it has everything that you need. I'm doing some market research, and I would like to get on a call with a few people who are interested in this opportunity and make sure that it has everything you need, and or do a survey. Okay. So basically you're just asking them for their feedback. The main reason you want this feedback is so that you can get the words from them of what they want. You can then use those words on your sales page, in your emails, all that. So that when you're then selling this course to them or someone else, you can say, this course will teach you X, Y, Z. It will teach you how to do this. It will teach you how to overcome this fear, this objection. You're using their exact words. The other side benefit of this is you might find out that they want something that isn't in your course right now, and you can add it in. And in that way, no one will not buy because your course doesn't have that thing. Does that make sense? Like if they think, oh, well, this course won't be right for me because I have terrible time management skills and I won't have, and you hear that a few times. Well, maybe you can add in just a lesson that is like how to study to become a probate paralegal in 2 hours a week or something like that. Right. Or whatever the minimum amount of time is, and some time management strategies that could help them, just as an example. So yeah, I'd recommend doing that first, interviewing your prospective customers. And then once you get that information from them, as soon as you can take that information and work it into your sales copy, then launch it, because you don't want to leave them waiting, because they will lose interest. They'll forget about it. They'll find a different solution or pick a different solution. Like they'll choose a different career path or something like that.
I will have teed them up for a competitor, essentially. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you need to make sure that your turnaround is pretty quick there. It shouldn't be like, get on the waiting list, 3 months later you launch the program, but get on the waiting list. Within the next week, you're asking them questions, and within a week or two after that, you're asking them, okay, it's ready for you to buy, are you actually in?
So what I'm hearing from you is that, a lot of before you even record your first module or design your first curriculum item, like step one is primarily research, market research. Am I hearing you correctly there?
Yeah, almost. I was assuming that you already have the product created. And so I'm saying like now you'd be doing this with the product created.
Oh. But I do want to talk about, pre-selling. But before we do that, I just want to sort of highlight how this conversation is just a really great indicator of your expertise. And I want to talk a little bit about the profit planning challenge that you have coming up. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So we host a profit planning challenge on a regular basis. Basically, it guides you over just a 4-day period to create a profit plan for your business. A profit plan is a lot like a business plan, except it is much more simple and streamlined and focused on just one thing, that is how your business creates profit, because that's probably your business's prime objective. So instead of describing absolutely everything your business does and how it does it, instead we're just focused on how your business makes money and how you can maximize your profits. So over the course of exactly 4 days, about 30 minutes per day, you'll learn how to create a profit plan, and you'll actually create your own profit plan. We host this profit planning challenge on a pretty regular basis. As we're recording this right now, the next time that this will be happening is the first week of December. I'm sure that Anthony will add a link probably below this video to where you can sign up for the free profit planning challenge if that's something that's interesting to you. I would recommend it to anyone who has a business, actually of any sort. It's most tailored for online entrepreneurs, but it works for any type of business.
So my audience will probably include a lot of folks who have a day job, like a regular corporate or institutional job, but a side hustle. Is this really appropriate for them?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you have a side hustle that is still a small business, so it'd still be very, very helpful to you, it's really going to show you how you can maximize your time so that you can earn more for every hour that you put into your business. And then beyond that, even if you don't have a business yet, but if you're planning to start a business, it's actually a great thing to do before you even get your business off the ground, because it will set you up for success from the very beginning.
And how is this delivered? Is this an in-person educational thing, or is it by email? How is this done?
Yeah, so they will get an email each day for 4 days. And in the email, they'll get a link to a private training video. It's about 10 to 15 minutes long. And then there will also be a worksheet that they can fill out to actually write out their profit plan.
Cool. All right. And like Gillian said, I'm going to make sure there's links in the description. Make sure you check that out. And let me just bring us to the final question I have on the online course, on my personal online course situation. So I approached it from a pre-sale point of view, or that was my approach, meaning I was trying to get interest before I created the course itself, right? What do you think about that? I think I've heard you say that you've advocated in the past, I think, doing a free mini session or like a webinar. But what are some of the different approaches of basically create or offering the course before you make it?
Yeah, I would recommend doing pre-sales just like you did, to sell it before you make it, especially because it turned out to be great in your situation, right? When you didn't sell the course, so you were able to learn something about what didn't work before putting in all of the work. So in that case, you'd probably want to slightly modify the schedule I was talking about before. Ask people to get on the wait list, then ask them for their opinions, suggestions, etc. And what you're mapping out there is you're really mapping out the whole course outline, like the curriculum outline for the course, what to include in it. And then I recommend pre-filming your course, not the entire thing. I just mean each video, not presenting live. And the reason for that is you'll be able to produce a much higher quality course if you do pre-film the videos and edit them before delivering them. So you would get people on your wait list, ask them for their feedback, then announce that the course is ready for sale. And right around that same time is when you're filming the first module of the course. So really, you should film that first module of the course, or at least the first lesson, before you have your first sale, because you want to be able to deliver it instantly. Like, they buy and they get it right then,
Sure.
right? Of course, you need to be completely upfront about what the schedule of this course is. Like, you're going to get one lesson per week for the next 12 weeks, or whatever the schedule actually is. That's really important. Then you mentioned doing the free workshop or webinar. So there's two different things that I think the thing you're talking about that I've mentioned in the past is actually doing a paid workshop, which is a great way to judge interest. So this would be an interesting one to do for the topic of your course, because you certainly couldn't teach the whole content of your course. And you also, it's important with a paid workshop that it isn't just based on, well, sometimes when you do a free webinar, it's about like the opportunity. So you focus really in on why you might want to become a paralegal, or how much paralegals can earn, or how to become a paralegal, but in the sense of like what you'll need to do to become a paralegal. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So not like here,
not the meat
like
and potatoes. Yeah.
Yeah, but just like the overview of here's what to expect, kind of. But with a paid workshop, you want to make sure that you're delivering like a very tangible outcome by the end of it. So I think you need to do a little bit of creative brainstorming there if you did that. But the great thing about doing a workshop, a paid workshop, is that you can get an idea of how interested your audience is in buying a product related to that topic, and actually like how interested they are in paying. Not just like, oh, I'm interested in that topic, sure, but like, are they willing to put down the money?
Even if it's practically a nominal amount, as just some sort of skin in the game. Is that what we're trying to do here? Gotcha.
Yes. I mean, I wouldn't recommend that it's like $5, but about $25 is typically great for this.
Gotcha.
And the most important thing here is just that you really deliver on whatever the promise of your workshop is. Mm-hmm. So it's better to give them exactly what you say you're going to give them than to give them something that you think is bigger and better, but it's not exactly like checking all the boxes of what you said. So if you say you're going to learn, thing A, thing B, and thing C, don't try to teach them the whole alphabet, because they'll get overwhelmed and confused and they won't be as satisfied actually.
I learned that lesson connecting AdWord, PPC ad copy to the landing page. So it sounds like a very similar concept.
Yes, exactly. So completely separately from doing this kind of beta test with the paid workshop, free webinars. Free webinars I found to be the most effective way to sell anything online. So a lot of people promote some sort of freebie related to their product, right? A checklist, an ebook, something like that, to build their list. And then later they try to sell to their list the product. Now, email is great, and I am definitely an advocate for building your list. I think that it's an important, great thing to do. But if you're trying to make sales, you're going to convert many more people, especially when it comes to cold traffic. So especially when we're trying to scale, run ads to a cold audience in the future, if you are selling on a webinar. Because on a webinar, you can build those trust factors, the trust of you, the trust of your product, and the trust of themselves far faster and far more effectively than you can via email, because they are hearing you, they're hearing your expertise, they're hearing the information from you, you're giving them information, you're giving them value, you're helping them maybe even get some results right there on the webinar, as maybe you're walking them through some exercise and they're figuring some things out. So you can just really accelerate that trust building process on the webinar, show them how the product actually works, show them how easy it will be for them to take action on it. Even with my warm audience, people who watch my videos and then get on my email list, they've gotten emails, that warm audience, it typically only converts at less than 1% if we just email the list. Yeah. If we battery 100%. Can you hear me now?
Yep, I got you back. Thanks, Siri.
All right, my falls asleep after half an hour. Not very helpful.
Let me just ask two more questions, but before I wrap this up, to be respectful of your time and my audience feedback.
Let me just finish.
Yes, please.
Yeah, well, I just want to finish the one other thing I was saying, which was, on the other hand, when we sell via webinar, whether it's to a warm audience or to a cold audience, we can typically convert at well over 5%. So it's much, much higher than the percent that we convert with just email. And the cool thing about the webinar is that when someone opts in, it's kind of like two steps in one, because it's taking care of the opt-in, but also the sales. So it's not like they're opting in for an ebook and then later we're sending them emails to sell to them, but instead they're opting in for the webinar and then we are selling to them. So
first of all,
with one stone much more
those numbers you just shared. Yeah, those numbers you just shared are very surprising to me, just because I feel like with the sheer volume of videos you have out there, you would think there's a super strong connection, but that's really useful to know. So thanks for sharing that.
Yes. Yes.
Do you see a big delta?
It depends on what we're selling and who we're selling it to. For example, if I'm selling a more general type of product, like a product that has more general appeal, and I sell it to my whole list, that's when it will convert at less than 1%. If we're selling to a very targeted segment of my audience and a product that's a perfect fit for that segment, it sometimes converts much higher than that. But I'm just talking about if you're just list building in general, just to get people, and then you try to sell them anything that isn't targeted specifically for them, that's when your conversion rates are going to be really low.
So there's two elements of webinars that I've heard can cause big swings in the conversion rates, and you tell me if this has been your experience. The one variable is either having your face or not, having a PowerPoint deck and just your voice versus live face. And then the other is pre-recorded, delivered webinars versus live webinars. Have you seen any big differences in the data between those two variables?
Yes. Okay. So as far as having your face or not having your face, I've heard it both ways, basically. And we've tried it both ways, although we've tried it both ways for different products. And so we haven't yet tested having my face or not having my face for exactly the same webinar for the same product. So I can't tell you for sure what works for me, but I've heard some people say that not having their face converts higher higher because there's a little bit more of like a God type perspective of the webinar presenter, like this voice from the sky, who's telling you how it is, versus when you see a person, it's like, oh, they're a real regular person. So you almost like wonder if you can trust them. Do they even know what they're talking about? But on the other hand, you connect with someone much more personally when you see their face, of course, right? And so you might trust them more for that reason. So I think it somewhat depends on the type of product and the price of the product. If you're selling something that is a lower price, and almost like an easier to use product, then I think having your face would definitely convert much higher. If you're selling a higher price product, it might need that almost like godlike quality for the expert in order for someone to convert on it.
Never heard of that. That's interesting.
That is all like heard secondhand. Like I said, I haven't tested it myself with no other variables changed. So I can't say for sure. I would just recommend testing it both ways, and see what works for your audience, for your product. And then the other thing, live versus pre-recorded. Yes, live always converts much higher. I would say the pre-recorded will convert. I mean, it's like a little bit hard to say because it depends on the product. It depends on whether we're talking about just the webinar or the webinar and the follow-up emails. But the live will typically convert about 50% higher than the pre-recorded. Yeah. So yeah, it is significant. But typically when you're using pre-recorded, it's when you're talking about scaling. So you're starting to run ads or something, you're getting a bigger volume of people onto the webinar. And so it's okay that it's performing lower because it's taking less of your time. But what I would recommend would be to present your webinar live several times so that you can work on improving the webinar and trying out different phrasing of things, different offers even, slightly tweaking your offer, the bonuses, things like that. Then you can find the version that really converts the best, do a pre-recorded version of that when you're ready to scale.
Yeah. I mean, it's like basically just iterating until you have a nice version ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. You've given me my head is spinning. So much to think about. I really appreciate I really appreciate it. And I hope everyone else has gotten a lot out of this too. I want to keep this under a certain amount of time because I get very angry feedback from my listeners when they run long. So for that reason, I want to thank you again for jumping on. I want to remind everyone to check out both your YouTube channel and the profit planning challenge you have coming up. And is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off here?
Just that if people are trying to launch their first course and they don't make any sales, I just hope that people realize that is really normal. That is exactly what happened to me when I tried to launch my first course as well. Not a single person bought, and it takes some iterating of your ideas, of your marketing strategies, of the way that you are positioning the product before you figure it out, but that there's a big potential there for a lot of profit and for the opportunity to help a lot of people learn something that will be valuable to them. So I encourage everyone, including you, Anthony, to just keep working at it, keep pushing forward. You'll figure it out if you keep doing that.
Cool. I appreciate it. And thanks again for joining us. Hang on the line even after we sign off so I can say goodbye properly. But otherwise, thanks for everyone else for listening. Take care.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.